Then they press the button. Next. But the conscious mind's awareness that he's pressed the button comes a long time later, like about half a second. So they feel the touch, press the button, about half a second before they register the touch and the fact that they press the button. So the conscious level is not the point at which we're really making free will decisions. That's happening at the subconscious level, and we are then at this level experiencing the consequences of those decisions. Which is why, like I say, the Illuminati know that the subconscious level is what they have to get if they're going to get the conscious level to react and create the world they want.
So on that thinking, then it's where we gotta get to change the reality out there, and that's what we gotta get at.
Oh yeah, see that. Awareness is the key, because while things are going on in the subconscious, the conscious mind is being manipulated all the time through the subconscious subliminals and stuff like that, while the conscious mind is just standing there with its dream, not knowing what the heck's going on around it. Events and adverts and stuff, they're things that the conscious mind doesn't see, but the subconscious does, because the subconscious is like a sponge. It sees everything. Not only everything, but everything from every angle. Whereas the conscious mind only sees and registers a fraction of what actually enters the eyes. And they create subliminal manipulation with this, and adverts are awash with it, where they put in little symbols and stuff that speak to the subconscious. The subconscious can see them, the conscious can't. And then that influences eventually the conscious mind's version of reality. Now what happens is that when you point out a subliminal to someone, and their conscious mind then registers it's there, when they look at the picture, any other time from then on, the subliminal just shoots out. Because what has been subliminal, what the conscious mind has said, yes, I can see it's there, it's no longer manipulatable, because it sees the subliminal. So getting information out to people, for instance, that this is going on in the world and that's going on in the world, brings the manipulation of the subliminal going on around people, which they don't see, to the conscious. People see what's going on around them. So, when people read my books and other people's books, it brings the manipulation from the subconscious subliminal level to the conscious level. And suddenly, they start watching the news, and they see what the politicians are really saying, they see what the agenda really is, they see why they've gone into Iraq, they see it's to get the conscious mind in awareness of what's going on around it, which has been hidden from it all this time. Because once people are in that awareness, the manipulation, which is based on secrecy and subliminal manipulation, is no longer effective against them. And so you have the situation where the Illuminati have controlled the mainstream media now, not only in America, with Michael Powell, the son of Colin Powell, the head of the Federal Communications Commission. Not only have them pressing for changes in the law to give media owners the ability to own a greater and greater share of the media in America, one person, one group. Exactly the same is happening in Britain. The media, the mainstream media, not least television, is the vehicle through which we are programmed. In physics, quantum physics, they talk about the fact that two energies that come together do create a third, which is denser than the other two. And I just wonder if this dense world is actually created by this fusion of energies, which then creates a denser third force, which becomes this reality. It certainly would work with George Bush, because it's quite obvious that George Bush the father and Barbara the mother have come together to create a denser sun. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
George Bush.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a denser third force. So I think this whole thing in the end, when you get beyond the symbolism, invariably ends up being symbolism of physics and energy manipulation, which is what this is all about. It's about to create a false reality, understanding how energy works and how thought affects energy is fundamental to creating this illusion.
So you talk about everything being an illusion, absolutely everything, and that none of this is solid and real.
Right. Can't be. Even physics cannot substantiate that anymore.
Which makes me wonder, have you had any experiences other than this ayahuasca tea, any experiences where you have gone beyond this?
Well, since I had an experience in Brazil when I took this ayahuasca tea and went into another realm, being conscious awareness for 4 or 5 hours, and this voice spoke to me all this time, very, very clear, powerful, dignified female voice, and gave me the lowdown on the nature of this reality. Not just that it's an illusion, but how it's an illusion and how we create it. And since I actually went into those other realms, I say thanks to this ayahuasca tea, I've been pretty much able to go there. Not quite to the same intensity, but I've pretty much been able to go there at will.
Without the tea?
Yeah, because I tell you what was kind of funny. This voice was telling me about the fact that everything was an illusion. And so I'm there, this darkness. Amazing, you know. He then said to me at one point, "Do you think the ayahuasca was brought you to this place?" And I'm thinking, well, I took it, I'm in, I can. He said, "Illusion. You've come to this place because your mind believed that ayahuasca would take you here." And when I got back to England, and I was writing this account of this experience, and after I finished that, literally as I finished that bit that I just described, I was picking up a book and I was flicking through it, and I came across this experimentation with LSD in relation to placebo tests, blind placebo tests. And I just read this account that what they've done is they've got a group of people, they've given half of them LSD and half of them just a placebo, nothing, just kind of sugar pills or whatever. And the people on the placebo had gone on trips just as long and powerful as the ones that took the LSD, right? Which kind of supported what this kind of voice was telling me, which is everything's an illusion. If you believe it, then you will manifest it, and that includes, going into other states of consciousness through, things like, plants and drugs and stuff. The trick is, or the challenge is, to go there without any of this stuff, because we can. It's just that by taking things, it reinforces our belief that we're going to go there. And but that's a stepping stone to going there without them.
Was it like a moment of disconnecting them of consensus reality? When you, in that moment when you had the ayahuasca, you were disconnected?
Oh, completely. I had no body. I ain't got no body. I had no body, but I was self-aware. I was still me, but there was no point where me ended and everything else started. It was just everything was one consciousness, and it was like the mind is also an illusion, and it was a state of you didn't have to think, you just knew, and it's very, very strange when you've been here a while and experienced it for a bit to just know without question and know without thinking. Completely different state of being. And that's what this voice told me. He said, all of us are one infinite consciousness. There is no point where you end and something else starts. Everything is one consciousness. There is not a we, actually. There's just one infinite I, and we're all expressions of it. We are it. We're not children of God, to use that phrase. We are God. We are not droplets in the ocean. We are the ocean. What we've done is become, because of this manipulated bloody world here we live in, we've become disconnected